Hey everybody, welcome back into another episode of WSAZ Sports Plus. I'm Joseph Payton. We're talking basketball today. We spent a lot of the summer talking about softball state champions, baseball state champions, of course, at the high school level. Now we're talking basketball. The TBT, and that first "the" I put in there is a little redundant because they just call themselves the basketball tournament. $1 million prize for the winners, and teams get to figure out how they want to divvy it up, but it's awesome. 8 regions, 64 teams, including plenty of local teams to talk about with some names that you're going to be very familiar with. Let's bring on another guy that you're very familiar with. There he is, WSAZ Sports Director Keith Morehouse. Of course, you heard that, and all of our local guys that are into TBT seemingly every year. This is a fun tournament. Anything stick out to you about covering this thing over the last few years?
I just remember, Joseph, when it first came about, everybody, well, what's that? What do you mean? What is that? $1 million? How's it work? And then all the teams, kind of fell into line. And no, I just think it's a great kind of diversion in a time that's a little bit slow. I mean, we've got baseball and all that kind of thing. But when this thing started, and it just took off. And then you see a bunch more alumni teams. Like we're going to see Ohio jump in this year for the first time. And what I like about it is it's so different than the regular game. But there are some, really, really good basketball players, guys who played in the league, guys who still are trying to play in the league, guys like John Elmore, who's in the G League, trying to make it through the NBA Summer League and get on a roster. And so you look at these names and their accomplishments, and so that's enough. But then to go watch these teams play, they get after it. They're not messing around. It's not like a game of Summer League over there. They really play hard. These teams go through it's almost like the gauntlet, like an NCAA tournament, but that end result's that $1 million, but it's really more about getting your team and winning the tournament. These guys play serious, they play hard, and I just think the creativity of the basketball tournament is also what sets it apart from anything else you see in basketball.
And it's a nationwide ordeal this year, especially you look at the 8 regions, 64 teams in 7 different states, 8 regions. It's pretty amazing how this thing has grown over the last 12 years. And one thing I love about it, it's almost like a time capsule of some of the old teams and players that you have come to know and love. And you get to see not only teams like, when I look at Carmen's crew, like some of those guys are on those Ohio State Final Four teams from back in the day, but you also get players from different eras at different schools where you're like, man, I get to see John Elmore play with so-and-so who played a few years later, and they didn't play on the same roster together in college, but they were all on your favorite team. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's a great mix of players, even a little bit of a mix of eras because, as you mentioned, some guys are 33, 34 years old that can still ball, and they're playing with these young guys. They're just coming out of college. Then you got your mix of guys who are trying to, continue their careers. Just an immense amount of talent on the basketball floor. And to see it in person, and then, we covered it a few years ago and heard that made it to the semifinals in Philadelphia. To see it in person and how the crowd reacts and the way they play up the DJ and the intros, the Elam ending, which I know we'll talk about, to me sets it apart too. That's the best way to end a basketball game anywhere. NBA is not going to do it. I don't think college basketball will do it. It's so creative. There's not a parade to the free throw line, and we'll talk about that. But all these things that the basketball tournament has done also on social media to get everybody fired up and get guys jawing back and forth at each other, I just think it's distinctive. And I think when people do watch, it catches fire. And they go, I remember that. And then if you watch a game and you see the guys advance, you watch the next game, it has this, this effect where you just keep getting more interested as the rounds go on. So it's so fun to watch. It's a great summertime hoops tournament.
And they also, you see on social media, like the current teams always get behind their alumni team. I've seen like Ohio men's basketball posting about Court Street Kings, and Marshall basketball always posting about Heard That. Louisville's all over it. Kentucky's all over it. Ohio State's back in Carmen's crew. There really is a point of pride, and it's not just like some summer league pickup game. Like it's really cool.
And they have fun with it. Like the Best Virginia guys and the Heard That guys go back and forth on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
But it's all in good fun. But make no mistake about it, it's a competitive thing because as we all know, all these schools have rivals. And when you get to continue that rivalry beyond college basketball, it makes it more fun. And so to watch these guys and these fan bases enjoy it, there is a point of pride. And Kentucky didn't jump in this until a couple of years ago, and nobody takes their college basketball more seriously than Kentucky. So the appeal of the tournament when the Wildcats say, hey, let's throw a team in there, see what we can do, right?
Sure. Yeah, the Commonwealth's going to get behind anything that's blue, right?
Yeah.
And then the little pocket of red up there.
Well, they got a squad too, which we'll talk about.
Oh, yeah. Those two teams, probably some betting favorites to go on and win it this year. Let's talk about the Elam ending a little bit. You mentioned it. Anyone that has watched the TBT knows that the end of these games is so unique. The Elam ending, so first dead ball under the 4-minute mark left in the game. What they do at that point, they take the leading team score, add 8 points to it, and then that's the target score. So if you had 64 points and you're leading the game, the target score is then 72. First team to get there wins the ball game. So every game ends on a buzzer beater. You sound like you're a big fan of it.
I just think it's fantastic. What do we all dislike about the end of basketball games, especially college? It takes 20 minutes to play the last minute and a half. Now with reviews, it's even worse. Same thing in the NBA, too. You want to try to – if you're down and you want to come back, you have to foul. Well, in the TBT, you don't foul. It doesn't give – in fact, it's deleterious to what you're trying to do. You're trying them to not score points, and so you don't want to put them on the free throw line and get an easy access to, as you mentioned, those 72 points. So you got to get stops, and you got to score yourself. It's the epitome of what basketball is about to me. And when we were in Philadelphia and heard that was down to the team they lost to in the semifinals, down big, I think 16, they got that thing back to within 4. And what it also does to the team that's leading, those guys start to pucker a little bit. We got to get a basket. We got to get a hoop. And the more that other team comes back, the more that pressure is. I think it's a fantastic way to end a basketball game. I wish more leagues would do it. I think it rewards a team that has done well and has a lead, and it also gives a team that is behind a chance to come back, and you don't see the constant foul shooting. I think it's brilliant, to be honest with you.
Like you said, you get to 2-3 minutes left in a college basketball game, especially in the NCAA tournament.
It's brutal.
You start sitting on it, fouling, extended the game. It's just part of it. That's how you try to stay in it. But golly, it's boring to watch sometimes.
I think it is, and it's not good for the fans.
Sure.
You get into this, fans are going nuts at March Madness, and all of a sudden it just drags down the end of that game, and you hear this, another review, another trip to the free throw line. I don't think they would do this because maybe it's too creative, too avant-garde. But, man, I think it's the way to end a basketball game if you can do it.
Something that's different about this year's TBT is this home court advantage aspect, this new element. And basically what they're saying is the first region of those 8 to sell 4,000 tickets, the winner of that region will basically be the 1 seed once we get out of regional play. So as of today, this Monday night where we're recording this, the 1 seed would be the Louisville region. The 2 would be the Lexington region. So basically what that means in theory is, say the Ville comes out of the Louisville region, they in theory could win out and play a home game every single time out. The championship would be in Louisville if they were to get out of there. And the same goes for any region. If you want to host the championship, you just upset one of those higher seeds. Now all of a sudden, home court advantage is yours. In theory, we could see a championship game in Charleston. Yeah, isn't that pretty cool?
In theory, and that does attract fans. And that's what, the TBT wants. Hey, they want people screaming, yelling, and the Commonwealth is not a bad place to start to see who you're going to get fans out for. I don't think Kentucky and Louisville have to worry about that at all. But it just makes I like how they're always trying to change it and make it better. And it really has kind of taken on, almost like a little cult-like following among basketball people. And I saw Fran Fraschilla in Philadelphia when we were down there. We talked for just a little bit about it. And, he's a huge fan. And
been around it a long time.
Yeah, and they just do so many things right. And this is another enticement for, hey, go out, watch your school, your alumni, whatever, and cheer them on and see if you can get them out of the region. Then next thing you know, you might be playing for a national championship in your hometown.
Nobody's probably surprised that the 2 Kentucky regions sold out first, right?
I'd
like to think West Virginia's not far behind. They just haven't updated the list yet as we speak. So when people are watching or listening to this, you may know more than we do right now. Keith, you want to look at some rosters?
Sure, let's do it.
Let's check out the Heard That roster. We'll throw it up on your screen. How about some of the names on here? Of course, John Elmore is the first one that people see, and I feel like his name has become synonymous not only with Marshall basketball history and lore, but specifically the TBT at this point. He's kind of been the face of it for Heard That, hasn't he?
He has, and they've kind of become the darlings of the TBT over the years because, John and his brother Ott, and Ott's his own guy, who's obviously one of the general managers of the team. The dad, Gay, coaches, but Elmore's such a great player, and he'll fire it up from anywhere. So that's sort of their MO, is that 3-point game, run, gun, alley-oop. And as you look at the roster, that's how they've tailored that too. With the former Marshall guys, Rondell Watson's a heck of a player in that system. Ryan Taylor is, of course, an assistant with the Herd program now. He still has some games. Stevie Browning was a star for the Herd. He's on the roster. And then, they went out and got some players. A Fletcher McGee. A lot of people around the South will remember Fletcher McGee and that three-point shooting. He's a wizard from outside, which is, as I look at the roster, one of the things maybe they lacked was just a stone-cold shooter from outside. Derek Cook Jr. is the big kid from Wyoming. He's played with him before. Ja'Cory Williams has been a fixture for him for 3 or 4 or 5 years now. Played at Arkansas, and Marshall fans remember when he played at Middle Tennessee, they couldn't stop him. He's long, left-handed, wiry, has a great knack of getting to the hoop. And then J.P. Tokido from North Carolina. He was the best player they had in that final game they played in the semis in Philadelphia a few years ago. Nick McGlynn's a good player from Drake, and Xavier Mumford was a shooter for him a year ago. So it's interesting how these guys kind of, once they come on to these teams, hey, let's play again, let's run it back, and that's what these guys are doing.
Yeah. The interesting thing about this roster, when you talk about John Elmore, is guys playing summer league ball right now, and so he's listed. I don't know what his intentions are. We don't want to speak for him, but they could be without him for possibly the first 2 rounds. There are summer league games scheduled through this weekend when this thing takes off.
Whatever it takes for John to play and whatever round it is, he'll be there. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. It's just, he's balancing these things. You can't say no to the NBA Summer League. So he'll be there if he can, and he'll be there ready to go because he's been playing all summer, obviously.
Heard that. The 2 seed, it looks like, in the West Virginia region, so, of course, people can check them out over in Charleston. They'll play on the 18th at 6 p.m. against Sick Warriors, a team that sounds like it's their first time jumping in this thing. I'm sure they're excited to play.
Brand new squad coming in, and kudos to them. And as you mentioned, Herd Nation, we'll talk with them this week, and we'll see them at practice and get some more words from those guys as they get ready to jump into this thing. And in that same region, you got West Virginia and Court Street Kings. So you got Ohio Bobcats, you got the Mountaineers, and you got the Herd. That's pretty cool for our area.
Yeah. Let's check out the West Virginia roster. Any of these names jump out to you? I'm looking at on there, and, of course, I'm from the other side of the river. J.D. Weatherspoon pops out at me. He was a guy that played high school ball with Jared Solinger, played for Satch Solinger there at Northland High School, and his career at Ohio State was short-lived, but then he went to Toledo and was an all-MAC honorable mention guy. But as far as some of those WVU alums, because you have paid attention to those guys, who jumps out at you?
Well, it's they got some length in Eduardo Andre. He's a recent player over there, and he's just he's tall, floor to ceiling. That guy's just nothing but length. John Flowers, their GM, he still has some game, and he loves to play. Keedy Johnson, of course, was a heck of a guard for them up in Morgantown. Got Wesley Harris, also an alum from there. And then they went out and got somebody. I remember James Reese from North Texas. That's a heck of a team and a heck of a player he's been. One of these guys is going to be interesting for Heard That in West Virginia, a guy by the name of Jared West, who played at Marshall, ended up at Louisville, and now, of course, his dad played at West Virginia, so he's going to play with the West Virginia squad. So there's going to be all kinds of talking going on in that one if those two happen to meet in round 2, which is very possible. And then they've got Will Voorhees from Notre Dame, a 6'8" guy. So I look at a lot. They're very guard-oriented, kind of mid-range oriented, with the big guys with Andre and also Wesley Harris. So they're going to be fun to watch. I mean, this sets up to be a great matchup should they meet Heard That in that second round.
And, of course, also in that region, we're talking about Court Street Kings. I can't remember if OU has put an alumni team in this thing before.
If they did, it was last year. I don't know that they've done it.
They haven't been a staple like some of these others.
Yeah,
have.
right. And clearly, you look at their roster, and you see some guys who played some great basketball up at the Convo. Ben Vanderplas and Dwight Wilson III. So that gives them 2 big guys. Wilson, of course, is a presence down low. And I look at Jason Preston, and everybody that ever saw this kid play, that kid's got game. I mean, he was out and about and impressive. Just a guy that can create on his own. Miles Brown, also an Ohio grad. Sharif Mitchell. And then they went and got a couple other players, too. You remember Torin Dorn, who played at NC State and Charlotte, and so this is a nice roster. I think they've done a heck of a job of putting that together on whether short notice. Everybody's rosters are kind of on short notice.
They lack a little bit of length, but maybe they can get out and run. It's a guard-heavy roster, but again, like we were talking earlier, I look at some of these names. Jason Preston, who I'd argue is probably one of the best guards to ever come out of Ohio University.
Without question.
And then BVP there, a guy that helped OU upset Virginia it was the COVID tournament, that 2021 tournament that was all of it was taking place in Indiana. Those two guys are on that historic Bobcat team, and again, you get to see them suit up again in the green and white and black, and again, it's pretty cool.
It is
cool to see those guys.
And then he ended up at Virginia, but he's just one of those guys that on your team he does everything. That's the kind of guy you want, especially in a TBT environment where you need a lot of guys to step up, and you got to have depth, and he's going to help them a lot.
Yep. Let's move on to Carmen's crew, and they're the defending champs. They've won the TBT twice now, most recently last year. They'll be without Jared Sullinger, but you look at this roster and got to think they have a decent shot of, not only winning the championship, but at least getting themselves in a position to win it.
I mean, it starts with Caleb Wesson. I mean, he's been a great player for the Buckeyes and that that team for so much. He's almost synonymous with Ohio State hoops. And William Buford's there, and Trevor Thompson, Keyshawn Woods. They got a bunch of really good players that obviously come from Ohio State. And then they diversified their roster a little bit as well. Got Scott Thomas from Bowling Green, and Tevin Glass from Wichita State, and DeSante Bradford from East Tennessee State, Chris Crawford from Memphis. I think they feel like they've got that nucleus with the Buckeye guys, and then they went out and got some extras.
Yeah. I tell you what, when I was a kid, I loved me some William Buford. Watching that guy fill it up in Columbus, man. And that was back when Ohio State basketball was actually putting a respectable product out there. They could be better, of course, but, man, those were kind of the glory years of my youth, watching William Buford and Aaron Craft and those guys. So I love to see 44 back out there. It's pretty fun.
Well, Aaron Craft's going to be in somebody's ear saying, hey, we won this thing twice, so have some pride. Go out and win it again. Those guys they really take it seriously. They don't. It's not just rolling the ball out and saying go have fun.
All right, Keith, let's move on. A couple more teams. The Ville, which is, of course, the Louisville alumni roster. You could make an argument this is one of the more, or if not the most talented team in it, probably them and the Kentucky team. You look at Montrezl Harrell, he might have the most NBA experience in this whole tournament.
Just looking at him from a big guy perspective, I mean, if there's a better guy, better big in the tournament, we'll have to see him. But he's got to be right there. I thought he was a terrifying player in college, and then he did a lot of good things in the NBA. He's going to be hard to stop, I think.
Peyton Siva, another one. I believe he was on the national championship team there in 2013. Russ Smith, he's a Louisville legend. I know that as far as an NBA career is concerned for him, maybe not quite the star power that some of these other dudes have, but Russ Smith has his number retired at Louisville. He was on that national title team. They love that guy. Gosh, this roster just seems to be loaded.
They got Earl Clark too. I mean, they have height. They got bigs. They got shooters. They got mid-range guys. They got guys who'll mix it up underneath. They got a nice complement of players for sure.
I saw the TBT tweeted out a big graphic, and it was like MVP odds for each guy. And I don't know, this isn't a betting show. This is no FanDuel-sponsored thing, but they did have Montrezl Harrell as, kind of the odds-on favorite to be the tournament MVP.
I don't think there are a lot of guys that want to guard him.
I mean, my money.
I got to be honest.
You feel like it would be safe on that guy, right? He's going to be an issue.
He's going to dominate, sure. and he does it in intimidating fashion. So he'll be fun to watch for sure.
All right, finally we'll go to the boys in blue, La Familia. A lot of these dudes, of course, played for Coach Cal. A lot of these dudes need no introduction. The Harrison twins, Archie Goodwin, DeAndre Liggins, Deron Lamb, Willie Cauley-Stein. This team is absolutely loaded.
And he was a favorite, Willie Cauley, when he came back. I mean, he just said, I want to play with these guys again. And that invigorated the entire roster for La Familia. And, of course, they beat Herd in Lexington last year pretty handily. I mean, you got the shooters with Harrison. Now they got Almanor, who's a recent UK guy who could shoot it. And then they got the Archie Goodwin, as you mentioned, Liggins. And so they've got the guards. They got the bigs. They've got Kareem Cantor from Xavier. And they got to be right up there among the teams expected to be there at the end as well.
Yeah. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure La Familia beat the Ville in the quarterfinals last year. They announced today that those two regions, the winners of those regions will meet in the quarterfinal again.
Oh, wow.
So you better believe the Louisville folks are like, come on, give them to us.
And if you remember that game, it was hot. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't like just, friendly dudes balling. This was
rivalry
This
stuff.
was Kentucky and Louisville.
Yeah.
And they don't like each other. Any way you slice it.
There's no doubt. And that's what, again, makes this thing fun. These guys take it serious. Of course, there is money on the line, so why wouldn't you? But there's also a point of school pride involved, regional pride. It's really cool. You guys are going to be really having a front row seat for it. What's the plan for our coverage? Because I know Andrew Colgrove's involved, Jimmy T's involved.
Yeah.
And you'll be in Charleston, it sounds like.
Well, they're at the Charleston Coliseum on Friday. And just looking at the matchups, you got Court Street Kings. They play the 4 o'clock game. And then you heard that at 6 with the Sikh Warriors, and West Virginia play the Du Bois Dream. That's a team from Pennsylvania. And so should any of those teams advance, and I really just looking, I mean, just from what we've talked about, just from the eye test, I think all 3 of them will win, and then they'll be playing again on Sunday. Andrew Kogo is going to be over there Sunday, so whoever advances and moves on, we're going to be on it. And Jimmy will be there Friday, and I'll try to move up there as well after the sports. But it's so much fun to shoot it and interview those guys in person afterwards because it's intense. I mean, it's really cool. Like I said, it was as cool covering that Final Four in Philadelphia as any basketball game. Maybe not the NCAA, but it was just cool. It's a cool environment. The guys are hyped. The crowd's hyped. It's something. So it'll be fun up in Charleston for sure.
Before I let you go, because I know you've always had your finger on the pulse of just Marshall athletics and the fan base. The fan base really takes to this. Like, what do you sense when you're there? Does it feel like you're just at any Marshall sporting event at the Henderson Center or anywhere else?
It does, and then it makes it more intriguing if they happen to be playing West Virginia, because then you got you got the Mountaineer Herd factions against each other. It is cool, and I think, and not to get too deep on this, Joseph, but in the days of the portal and all these guys moving on, so you look at the list of these players and you look at the Kentucky Wildcats and the Herd, that those guys stayed and played. Now that was before the portal got out. You could just jump. So maybe these are bygone days, but to see these guys play year after year together, there's a sense of pride that they want to put on the Herd that or the West Virginia or La Familia or Court Street and play for their schools. So that part makes it fun. And when you see these guys in practice going back at it and getting back together, it's like boys just getting back at it. And you can't replace that. NIL money doesn't replace that. Transfer portal doesn't replace if you go play 1 year with guys you don't really know. But if you run with your boys like you've done for a few years, man, it shows on the court. It's fun. It really is a cool product.
So this thing tips off on Friday. It's really a 2-week-long event. The championship's not till Sunday, August 3rd, and I guess you kind of have to have those buffer days in between because we travel now, and you don't know where this championship's going to be. You don't know where the quarterfinal or the semifinal is going to be. It just kind of depends on, of course, those home court advantage rankings and, of course, just the results of the tournament. 64 teams, 8 regions. So one of them's going to be splitting up $1 million at the end of it.
Hey, tune in. Even if you can't get there in person, tune in and watch. It is quite a product. I'm really looking forward to seeing it, especially close by in Charleston.
All right. Well, just make sure we remind people, hey, we'll have highlights. Of course, you can watch it. I think Fox and FS1, they take care of a lot of it. I think some of it's on ESPN as well. But please go watch our highlights as well as we'll have on our sportscasts every night. For now, Keith, I'll let you go. I appreciate you joining us up here today, man.
Thanks for having me in your little live emporium. It's cool up here.
I know, right? We're getting some usage out of this thing.
All right,
aren't
man.
we?
Thanks.
All right, so that does it for this episode of WSAZ Sports Plus. A few housekeeping items. Of course, follow us on social media. WSAZ Sports Plus on pretty much all forms of social media, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter. I typically call it Twitter still, but it is X. We're also on podcast platforms now. So if you're on a long trip, you're driving, going to the beach, in the morning, going to work, after work, you can now just listen to us. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's free. It's easy. Just wanted to put that out there and remind you folks, enjoy the tournament. We'll be back with some more episodes here in the coming weeks. We've got Derek Taylor coming in from South Point with his coach Rusty Smith. Also Shane Casto of Ripley Baseball. So we're going to be wrapping things up here at the end of July. And once we turn the page to August, the TBT ends, we're going to start talking football. Exciting times around here. I appreciate you all joining us. For now, this has been WSAZ Sports Plus.